Altruism, the idea of acting with pure concern for others without expecting anything in return, sounds noble, almost sacred. Yet, when we dig deeper, the concept isn't as clear-cut as we might hope. For centuries, thinkers, philosophers, and everyday people have grappled with a central question. Can anyone truly be selfless? Or does every act of kindness come with an ulterior motive, however subtle? The notion that most of us naturally lean toward compassion seems reasonable. We'd like to believe that if someone saw an elderly person struggling to cross the street or a child in need, they would step in to help without a second thought. But the reality is more complicated. Sometimes kindness doesn't come automatically. In some cases, cruelty arises for no obvious reason, casting a shadow on our image of innate goodness. So, what lies at the heart of our motives when we do good? Are we genuinely selfless? Or is there always a hint of self-interest lurking beneath the surface? Too often, even the most well-intentioned individuals find themselves drifting once they gain power or wealth. Did they start off with sincere intentions? Or was their altruism merely a mask waiting to slip? The question remains whether pure selflessness is even possible in a world that seems to reward egoism at every turn. Modern life is filled with contradictions, particularly in the West, where we've embraced mindfulness and meditation as pillars of personal growth. These practices have undeniable benefits, but they come from Eastern traditions that emphasize harmony with the community and family. In many Eastern cultures, extended families often live together, with multiple generations under one roof, nurturing a deep sense of interconnectedness. Mindfulness, in this context, doesn't just help individuals feel centered. It fosters a collective well-being that extends to loved ones and neighbors. But in the West, the same practices often get tangled with our obsession with individualism. Mindfulness can turn inward, becoming a tool for self-enhancement rather than a path toward deeper connection with others. The focus shifts to me and my needs, with self-care eclipsing the care for the community. As we prioritize our likes and dislikes, our own growth, and even cutting out those who no longer serve our needs, the risk emerges that mindfulness may inadvertently lead us away from altruism, not toward it. Our instinct to help is real, but so is our drive to survive. Acts of kindness can be strategic, a way to earn favor or secure a future return. Even something as simple as sharing food could be fueled by the hope that one day, when we're the ones in need, someone will extend the same courtesy. This muddles the waters of genuine altruism, leaving us to wonder if any action is ever truly devoid of self-interest. The debate on true altruism stretches back to some of history's greatest thinkers. Immanuel Kant, an Enlightenment philosopher, believed that our capacity for moral decision-making is rooted in autonomy, independent of external influences or emotional impulses. For Kant, doing the right thing should not be driven by compassion or sympathy. It should be a rational duty, a kind of unspoken agreement we have with our shared humanity. Helping someone because you feel sorry for them, he argued, lacks moral value. It should be done because it's the right thing to do, not because it makes us feel good. But not everyone agreed with Kant's rigid view. Ayn Rand, a vocal proponent of ethical egoism, dismissed the idea that we should act selflessly for the sake of others. She viewed Kant's philosophy as a misguided moral burden that stifled individual freedom. Friedrich Nietzsche took it a step further, seeing altruism as a path to self-denial and weakness, a way to enslave oneself to the needs of others. He argued that prioritizing oneself was not only natural but necessary for greatness. The clash among these philosophical heavyweights leaves us with a kaleidoscope of perspectives, each as fragmented as the next. While one insists that duty trumps emotion, another argues for embracing self-interest, while yet another criticizes the very concept of altruism as an obstacle to human potential. The contrast in their views illustrates just how complex and elusive the idea of selflessness really is. Despite these lofty debates, the truth remains that life doesn't always offer clear answers. We find ourselves in situations where the right thing to do isn't black and white. It's okay to protect our own interests sometimes, just as it's okay to take risks for the sake of others. Altruism may not always be a moral duty, but that doesn't diminish its power. It's an emotional force, a compassionate response that enriches our lives and those around us. If our desire to do good is fueled, in part, by the need to feel better about ourselves or to make peace with our conscience, does that diminish its value? Perhaps, at the end of the day, striving to be kind, even if it brings us some personal satisfaction, isn't such a bad thing. If there's a selfish streak in wanting to help others, let's embrace it, because at least we're still choosing to do good in a world that often sorely needs it. In a world of endless debates and moral gray areas, the question of whether true altruism exists may never be fully resolved. But maybe that's not the point. What matters more is that we keep trying to reach out, to help, and to give, even if we're motivated by a mix of self-interest and compassion. After all, if the act brings a bit more kindness into the world, isn't that already a victory worth pursuing?